where were you then when the cricket, because the playing career had been hugely successful, madly successful. The cricket commentary, just as, I mean, viewers now, listeners won't maybe realise how much angst there was at the time when the BBC lost the TV rights for the cricket. You know, everyone was up in arms. Adverts in the cricket.
Yeah.
You know, someone other than the BBC. When you look at cricket now, you must see things in place on Sky Sports Cricket, which started when
I think Channel 4
did
a great job. You know, with the cricket, with their production, and it was really nice to be part of of that. You know, and to have a job, you know, commentating on England matches. You know, there's a lot of power there. You could, oh, what a wonderful shot by Hick. Or, you could actually go, oh, that's a very fortunate, quite a lucky innings, So, there is a responsibility that comes along with it. But, what a position to be in, to be commentating on England matches as a boy who grew up in Hong Kong that people thought wasn't very good at cricket. But, managed to make my way as a player, and then as a captain at Warwickshire, we won more than anybody else. So, I scored a great job down in Somerset as director of cricket, then tried to incorporate it with the commentary. But, for me to sit next to Richie Benaud and share a, half hour's commentary stint, I was blessed. But, what happened was I ended up with a cocaine addiction that completely derailed, that part of my life.
The cocaine made you doubt the worth of cricket commentary, didn't it? I mean, you're sitting next to Richie Benaud at the headquarters of cricket, commentating on Test cricket. It's the pinnacle of the game, and it was back then, maybe not now. And you're sitting there thinking,
well, yeah, I mean, there's an expression that cocaine hijacks your soul, if you like, or steals your reality, because, what ended up happening with me was, I became a bit of a philanthropist. I was sponsoring a whole village, which was ridiculous to think of that, but, the money I was giving to World Vision every month, I was sponsoring a village. I was making money and giving it to children in need. It was getting doubled by John Timpson. It was like I was on a mission. I was getting bats signed all the time. I was going to the Sky commentary box. Can you sign, please? I get a bat. I do a dinner, auction it off, give the money to, the cobblers down in Taunton, Timpsons. They 2 years in a row, that cobblers raised more money than any shoe shop, any Timpsons in the whole of the country, because I was coming in with checks from dinners I was doing, and then John Timpson was doubling it. I bought a couple of baby units for Taunton Hospital, where I know Kevin Shine, his child, needed one of the incubators, and the lady said, "Oh, your coach bought this for us, donated it."
That must fill you with so much pride, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I lost my grounding. I was trying to form a charity called 100% for Kids with Mick Jagger as patron. And then I thought, well, actually, if John Timpson's going to double everything I give, but yeah, I remember Chris Jagger writing in the Telegraph that, my passion for cricket was only surpassed by my want to help the poor, or and I've got a big tattoo on my back with the Buddha and Red Hot Chili Peppers symbol and the words "Give it away now," because I've always believed that if people, and it galls me to think that I call them digits in the sky, people's money is up in the clouds. They're just numbers. They're just numbers up there. They're not doing anything. They're just up in the clouds, not doing anything. And they're changing daily, etc. But we could be building wells in India for kids that need clean water, and orphanages, and so I felt I was on the spiritual quest, if you like, to make the world a better place, and persuade people that who've got money to give it away to those who don't. And if you don't have the money, then give away a smile, give away an energy. You change the world if you put a smile on your face, say good morning, hi, and my life took a real turn that way when I had a ceremony performed on myself. This was before I'd ever done coke. A Reiki master in the north of England, she attuned me to do Reiki, and then I did level 2 Reiki. And, I felt any hate I had for people, I just hated gone, and the place was, it was the start of a spiritual journey, which unfortunately I then clouded a couple of years into that journey. I clouded it with taking coke. If I could tell you one story, on February the 7th in the year 2000, I went to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who I love, in Perth. So they're at the entertainment centre, 2,800 people, in the stadium. But I went to the bar before the show started. I met this fella at the bar through this lady I was with. She knew him, a guy called Pete. And I just sensed a nice energy off this guy, Pete. I said, hi, man. And he went, hey, hi. He said, do you like the Chili's? I said, oh, I love them. He said, were you at the big day out at the weekend? And I said, no, but I love them. He went, oh, mate, he said, it's great. He said, it starts off with Chad on the drums on his own. He said, he comes on, he plays a few beats. He said, he threw a drumstick at the big day out. He said, he threw a drumstick. He said, my mate next to me caught it in midair, like that. He said, and the whole place erupted. He said, it was amazing. Anyway, nice to meet you. So a quarter of an hour later, I'm in my seat in the entertainment centre. And just like this guy Pete had said, house lights are up. Chad Smith comes on, plays a bit of Queen, Rolling Stones, a few famous drum beats, throws a drumstick. It goes about 70 yards to the back of the mosh pit, where a hand catches it, swings round, and we look at each other. Pete caught the drumstick. He told me the story quarter of an hour later of his... And then I found out later that Pete's actually a level 2 Reiki healer. So, I call that an amazing coincidence.
Yeah.
At rehab, one of the therapists, she used the word God incidence, that when things like that occur. And I have to tell you that, and it's going to sound a bit fruity to some people, but I've had things in my life, this was before I did coke, I had things in my life occur that make me know that there's some forces, at play in the universe that, so, I don't have any trouble with now working in the fellowship with, going to meetings that, trusting to a higher power or trying to pass your trust over to a higher power, whatever it might be. I have no problem knowing that there's something that's been guiding me, not always perhaps in the right way, or I haven't made the right choices for sure. But I think at the heart of Dermot Reeve, there's a spiritual uneasiness, because although I've experienced things, I'm not sure why me, and what am I meant to do with it. And yes, it might make an interesting book, but I ran down that road of being, one of a better word, a spiritual warrior, of trying to look for the answers to the big questions in life, I guess. And I did experience things and see things that defy, rational explanation or scientific explanation. So